You are standing in front of an open fridge at 11 at night. You are not hungry. You ate 2 hours ago. And yet your hand is already reaching past the leftovers, past the fruit, towards something sweet. You tell yourself you have no willpower. The real answer is far stranger. This isn't weakness. This is a 300-million-year-old instinct doing exactly what it was built to do, in a world it was never built for. Start with your tongue. You have taste receptors that lock onto sugar the way a key fits a lock. The moment sweetness lands, a signal fires straight into the reward system deep in your brain, the ancient circuitry that decides what is worth wanting. And here is the part that matters. That circuit does not think sugar is nice. It thinks sugar is survival. For almost all of human history, it was. Picture your ancestors on the savannah. Fruit was rare, it was seasonal, and when it was ripe, it was a burst of pure energy in a world where the next meal was never guaranteed. A brain that loved sweetness ate more, stored more fat, and lived longer through the hungry months. A brain that shrugged at sweetness did not pass its genes on. So you are the descendant of the ones who couldn't resist. But sweetness is only half the trap. The other half is fat. And when you put the two together, something strange happens in your head. Researchers have a phrase for it: energy density. It just means calories packed tightly into a small bite. In nature, sugar and fat almost never appear together in the same food. Fruit is sweet but not fatty. Nuts are fatty but not sweet. Your brain never evolved a break for the combination because the combination barely existed. Then we invented it. A neuroscientist named Dana Small at Yale ran a striking study on this. Her team found that foods combining fat and carbohydrate lit up the brain's reward centers more powerfully than either fat or sugar alone. The two signals didn't just add together, they multiplied. A donut, a cookie, a scoop of ice cream. These are not ancient foods. They are keys cut to fit a lock evolution left wide open. Have you ever wondered why you can be completely full and still find room for dessert? There is a name for that too: sensory-specific satiety. Your brain gets bored of a flavor as you eat it, dialing down the pleasure with every bite of the same thing. It is a clever system. It once pushed your ancestors toward a varied diet, a little of this, a little of that, so they didn't miss out on vital nutrients. But dessert is a brand new flavor, so the boredom resets, the pleasure comes roaring back, and suddenly there is room. Your stomach is full, your reward system is not. Now let's talk about the chemical everyone blames: dopamine. You have probably heard dopamine called the pleasure chemical. That's not quite right. Dopamine is better understood as the wanting chemical, the craving chemical, the one that makes you seek. The psychologist Kent Berridge at the University of Michigan spent decades separating two things we usually blur together: liking, which is the pleasure you feel in the moment, and wanting, which is the pull that drives you toward it. They are not the same system, and that gap explains everything. Because here is what modern sweet foods do. They crank up the wanting far higher than the liking. The craving grows enormous while the actual satisfaction stays small. You want the cookie intensely. You eat the cookie, and moments later you want another one, chasing a payoff that never fully arrives. That is not a flaw in you. That is a feature being exploited. There is something else hiding in that late-night reach: timing. Your body runs on an internal clock, a roughly 24-hour rhythm scientists call the circadian rhythm, the master schedule that governs sleep, hunger, and hormones. And that clock does something sneaky in the evening. Studies of appetite have found that cravings for sweet, energy-dense food tend to climb as the day goes on, peaking at night, even when you have eaten enough. Your ancestors stocked up on calories before the long, foodless dark. Your body is still doing it. Except your dark isn't foodless. It's a fridge, glowing, 6 steps away. And when you are tired, it gets worse. Lose a night of sleep and your hunger hormones tilt. One, called ghrelin, which tells you to eat, rises. Another, called leptin, which tells you you're full, falls. Researchers including Eve Van Cotter have shown that sleep-deprived people crave sugar and fast-acting carbs more intensely than well-rested ones. So the tired, late-night version of you isn't the weak version. It's the version with the volume turned all the way up on an instinct you were born with. Step back and look at what's really happening. You have a Stone Age reward system running in a world of engineered abundance. Every craving you feel was, at some point, a survival advantage. The love of sweetness kept your ancestors alive through famine. The pull toward fat built the reserves that carried them through winter. The evening hunger prepared them for the night. None of it was a mistake. All of it was brilliant. The trap is that the instinct never got the memo that the famine ended. So what do you actually do with this? The first thing is to stop calling it willpower. Willpower frames the craving as a moral failing, a test you keep flunking. But you are not failing a test. You are running ancient software against modern food designed by people whose job is to defeat that software. You wouldn't blame yourself for feeling cold in the snow. This is the same. It is biology, not character. The second thing is quieter, and it changes everything. Once you can see the machinery, you can stop obeying it automatically. The next time your hand drifts toward the sweet thing at 11 at night, you don't have to win a war. You just have to notice. To say, quietly, that's the savannah talking. That's the instinct that kept my ancestors alive, firing in a kitchen it doesn't understand. Naming it doesn't make the craving vanish, but it puts a small gap between the pool and the reach. And in that gap is the only real freedom you have. Because the craving was never the enemy. It's the reason you exist at all. Every ancestor in your unbroken line survived long enough to have children, partly because their brains screamed for sweetness when it mattered. You are the endpoint of 100,000 successful cravings. You are standing in front of an open fridge at 11 at night. You are not hungry. Your hand is already reaching. Now you know who's really reaching. And you get to decide whether to let them. Because tonight, the fridge will glow again. And the oldest part of you will lean toward the light, the way it always has, the way it was always meant to. The only thing that's changed is that this time, you'll know its name.